Hey everyone, Khalifa back with another video. In this video, I wanted to talk about how I've been able to buy a supercar, buy my dream car, working a 9-to-5 job. So look, here's the thing, right? This is a hotly debated subject. You know, your expenses are your expenses. How you divvy up your money is up to you. But I will say it's possible to work a 9-to-5 and have very nice cars. You don't have to be a C-level. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can work a 9-to-5 and have these cars, right? You know, what really matters is that if your goal, for example, my goal when I started my career was to, you know, buy an exotic car by the time I'm 30. That has always been my goal. So what I did and what I highly recommend to all my friends or other people who have asked me questions around what they can do to maybe achieve similar goals, well, my answer to that is basically create a plan. Like literally create a plan. So create a plan that says, okay, if I want to buy a car by this age and the car is roughly going to cost this much a month or upfront cash or lease or whatever, then work back to see what your expenses will look like or should look like for that time. And if you kind of backtrack, you'll understand, you know, my car payment will be X dollars. That means my income needs to be Y dollars. My other expenses need to be here. And then you'll also know, okay, this is the type of salary I want to command or need to command if I want to be able to own this kind of car. And then you know, if you understand what your salary requirements are, what you want to be making, you then need to understand how to get there. You need to figure out how to get there. That's what I did. You have to figure out, okay, if I want to make, and I'm using ballpark or random examples here, but if I need to make $250,000 a year to afford this car for whatever example, if that even works, right? Then I need to be in this role. And to be in that role, I need to do these steps to get there. It really also depends what industry you choose. Some are more lucrative than others, but they have a harder barrier to entry. Some are easier to get into, but then to really make money, you have to find your niche. There are all sorts of factors here. You have to find what you're interested in, otherwise you'll hate your job, and that's a total different subject. That's a totally different thing. Who's that? Okay. I'm sitting in my car, in my driveway, staring at my other two cars, and it's just kind of motivating me to talk about this, but especially because I just had dinner with a friend and we had a debate on this, or not debate, but we discussed this, so it's all kind of coming full circle, and I think it would make a great video, which is why I'm making it. But yeah, you know, 90% I feel like of folks that own these cars are entrepreneurs, and that makes a lot of sense. But you don't have to be. You can earn a very high salary or have manageable expenses and a medium to high salary and still drive these cars. It is not impossible, but you really got to work hard, right? You really have to be on the right path, in the right industry, and be making the right moves. So once you understand the plan or the type of money you need to make to afford this car, you know the type of roles or level of roles you need to be in, right? You kind of have to look at what industries or what jobs pay the most to do that, or what jobs pay enough to do that, or to live that kind of lifestyle. And then honestly, bust your butt to get in. Bust your butt to learn everything that you can and get in. In my opinion, you cannot rely on handouts. You shouldn't rely on handouts. Your destiny, your career is all up to you. All of this is up to you. Like, you literally have to work the hardest, stand out, be different to get what you want to get. Not everyone drives these cars. So if you want to drive this car, you have to stand out and be different like the others that do, right? You can't just be working the same job for 10 years with 2% merit increases to achieve your dreams, right? And all of that factors in. Be working the same job for 10 years with 2% merit increases and thinking one day, you know, you're going to get a promotion that'll give you 50% more. That is like the oddball case. That is, you know, something I would never rely on or recommend anyone to do. You need to be in control of your own career and understand if you're moving up at the right pace or not. So how much was I making when I bought my first exotic car? You know, I can't exactly remember, but I have a rough idea. Again, my wife, you know, also works. We have a dual income family. We have a dual income household, which I'm very grateful for. But if I remember back then, I believe I was making around $200,000 in base salary. when I first bought my first exotic car. My expenses then were a lot less on my house. We had a very nice home. It was everything we ever dreamed of. But our home expense wasn't as high, and we had one kid at the time, and other expenses were much lower. So I had a lot of discretionary income, other than the investments that I do and other stuff that I do, and I could buy the car that I wanted, and interest rates were really low, so I could definitely buy the car that I wanted, and it made a lot of sense. And that car actually, the first Lamborghini I bought, opened up so many doors for me in terms of networking. The most insane amount of people that I never thought I'd have access to. I now have friends that are CEOs of extremely large companies. I have several friends who are entrepreneurs and have done extremely well. It has helped me from a networking standpoint to a scale I could never imagine. It has also helped me from like a professional standpoint too, because I can better relate and better understand what people at that level, potentially like C-levels who own these cars, are thinking, because I hang out with them all the time. I can kind of understand the issues on their mind. I can understand their thought process better. I can understand just their daily problems. And what's interesting about that is, being around them, around how they think, really shaped how I thought and how I have worked, or how I make recommendations, or what I talk about, or how I talk as well. And that was kind of a hidden gem in buying my first exotic car. I would have never guessed would have been a thing, but I'm very grateful for it. So there's a lot of pros, I would say, from buying a car like that sometimes you just don't realize at all. So the way I bought my first exotic car is pretty straightforward, right? So what I did was I really understood how much this car, the Lamborghini Huracan, which was my dream car at the time, it would cost to own on a monthly basis, how much it would cost to maintain roughly, and what kind of down payment it would require. So roughly, 3 years maybe before buying the car, I really drew out my plan of how I wanted to buy this thing. And I realized, I really took the step to understand, if I want to buy XYZ car, then the monthly payments will be this. And if the monthly payments are this, given my other expenses, I need to be making Y income, right? Or my family income or household income, ours needs to be Y income. And so to do that, it's really creating like a plan, a work back plan, or a plan to get there. How are we going to achieve this income? How am I going to level myself up? What will it take for me to get to that point? And once you kind of understand your goals to achieve your dream or dream car, in my example, and what it takes, I just had a ton of motivation to do it. I was motivated like hell to make sure I got the right job, saved the right down payment, did everything I could in my power to do it. I have a very supporting and loving wife who supported my goals and dreams, and we both talked about what that plan looked like and how we would get there, and we did it. On year 3, I was able to go in, buy the car, and it was one of the most amazing cars I owned. I've owned exotic cars for about 6 to 7 years from now, and they've done wonders for me in ways I could never describe. There's a lot of factors that go into buying an exotic car and what you can afford. There are some companies or brands that it makes the most sense to lease because of how lucrative the lease deals are, and versus some that make to finance. And it depends, if you have any side income, how you can leverage the expense side of that LLC or of that business to then maybe perhaps get any write-offs that you can from a lease perspective or other perspective. So there's a lot of things at play here. And for example, I've owned Lamborghinis, Ferraris, I've McLarens, have a McLaren now, Porsches in the past, and Ferrari, for example, would be one brand I would highly recommend, depending on the car, that you lease, because their lease residuals and how they value the residuals is extremely high, which means your monthly payments are extremely low compared to other cars priced at the same dollar amount. And it's just the way Ferrari works. I can get into more detail on how that works in another video, but those cars make the most sense to lease versus others make more sense to finance. So the real message here is, yes, you can buy your dream car, an exotic car, working a 9 to 5. All you have to do is create a plan to make sure you have a path to get to the income that you need. And if that means switching jobs, then map out the roles and or the money you need to be making at each of these roles to get to that level. So if you are, for example, if you are 20 years old and at 30 years old you want to buy an exotic car, and you know the level of income you need to have to be able to buy it, if you continue or plan to work a 9 to 5, then create a plan that tells you what the income should look like. Try to understand, including merit increases, bonuses, etc., where that puts you at financially throughout those 10 years. Once you do that, if that kind of tells you that you're in the wrong career, wrong field that just doesn't pay or scale to the level you need, but you have high ambitions of owning a car, an exotic car, then that may mean a switch of careers, right? It may mean you switch it to something that's higher paying, that requires higher skill set, and that you're willing to learn, right? It just depends how far are you willing to go for your goals. I'm a big believer of, no one is going to be accountable for your successes and failures but yourself. You can't be waiting for that promotion. You have to go get the promotion. You can't be waiting for feedback at work. You have to get the feedback at work. So it really, I feel like you need to own your job and your career kind of like you would have as if it was your own business. I have used that mentality throughout the years, and it has done wonders for me ever since I made that switch. So if you want to buy an exotic car, working a 9 to 5, create a plan, understand the levels of income you need, see what jobs pay that level of income, and if it means switching careers, then switch careers to do so, because it's only going to help you move forward. I hope this video was helpful. I'm kind of sitting in the dark outside my house now, so I'm probably going to go inside. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to see, or if you have any questions or comments on this topic. But please, please, please like, comment, and subscribe if you can. I'm really trying to get this channel to go. Much love. Appreciate it. Khalifa out.